introduce you really quickly. So we have
Okay.
Chris Roy here from Doobert.com. He's going to be talking about foster care, COVID, and technology. So Chris is an IT executive in his day job and founder of Doobert.com during his nights and weekends. Chris has a passion for cats and dogs and continues to build out the Doobert functionality to solve animal rescue's most difficult problems. Doobert is powerful software and the only platform that allows you to manage a foster program at scale, as well as the only software that manages local, regional, and national transports for animals. Chris is supported by his amazing wife, Daphne, and together they have 4 cats and 1 dog. Chris, welcome, and the mic is yours.
All right. Thanks, Stacy, and good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody survived the snowstorm. I know I was out there plowing out about 6 inches of snow up here in the Milwaukee area. So, great way to start out your day. So, I'm really excited to be here to talk with you today, particularly about technology. I think most of you know that I'm a tech guy, and that's obviously my forte. That's my day job, as Stacy mentioned. So just probably one of the most common things I get asked is, what is a Doobert? So this is a Doobert right here. Doobert was an amazing cat. He's an old soul. He's no longer with us, but obviously his namesake lives on. This is kind of what Stacy already said, but just to kind of give you an idea, I do work a day job in technology and do my best to continue to build out Doobert at nights and weekends. You can see Doobert down there as well. He was always a snuggle bug kind of a cat. And so we're always looking for new ideas and things as we're talking about technology and what it can and can't do. Some of the best ideas that I get for what to build next and how to build out Doobert actually come from our Dooberteers. So people like you that say, you know, it'd really be cool if you could do this. So as we start going through stuff, certainly keep in mind, and I'm always open for a new challenge and new ideas. So let's cover a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. So unlike Amy, we don't get the luxury of not talking about COVID because COVID is really something that has impacted our industry, particularly with the foster programs. And that's caused a lot of discussions and things about the limited technologies that are out there to effectively manage foster programs. People are able to do a lot. They're very resourceful. I'm sure all of you are very resourceful to figure out ways to do things, but the technology just hasn't really caught up. So we want to talk about some of those things. We're going to talk about elements of a scalable foster program. And when I say scalable, you know, taking your foster program from, say, 10 animals in foster to 100 or 100 to 1,000. Believe it or not, there are some organizations across the country that have anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 animals actively in foster at any given time. So it is something that's possible. It is something that you can certainly do. And of course, we're going to talk about some new technology that's bringing this all together to try and help you to manage your foster programs at scale. So if we think back, I mean, about a year ago, right, we were all kind of hearing about this coronavirus going on primarily over in China. And then fast forward about a month, it was about beginning of March, mid-March, when really everything in the US kind of blew up, so to speak, as the virus was being found all over the place. And in our sheltering world, this became a really big problem very quickly. And foster became kind of the center stage. It had been something that had been talked about for many years, lots of programs out there, but it wasn't necessarily the primary way that a lot of the shelters were housing the animals. Most of the animals were still within the physical facility of the shelter. But when COVID hit and just given all of the things that had to happen, literally coast to coast, there were organizations that were immediately trying to scale their foster programs, trying to move as many animals as they could out of the shelter into fosters. And as you can see, I mean, the news wires were all about this. I mean, you can see this one down here was from April in the Los Angeles Times. This one was the end of March. It was really all of the rage that everybody was talking about is how you can help trying to get more fosters involved and engaged. And people really did step up to try and help out in our time of need. So fostering moved to center stage, and we saw lots of pictures like this, right, from Palm Beach County. where the shelters were empty because the animals were in foster. And there were all sorts of things being posted. It was a great social media opportunity to really build out our foster programs. And I think there was just a tremendous level of support that everybody was doing to say, hey, let's get these animals out into foster so that we can reduce the workload on the shelter, obviously prevent the humans from getting sick, and continue to do the good work that we're doing. Now, one of the things that was interesting is as this started to happen, I think many organizations realized that this didn't have to be just a short-term thing for a month or two. That was about the time we all started realizing that this COVID-19 thing wasn't going to go away anytime soon. I'm hoping, like the rest of you, that it is going to go away sometime soon, but soon could still be months away before we're able to consider doing things the old way that we were doing them before this hit. And then there was a lot of organizations that saw this as the opportunity to say, you know what, let's not go backwards. Let's continue to move forward and to do this as the model that we're going to do to care for our animals going forward. As we often do, our industry really was very supportive in terms of cranking out lots of different ideas and programs and things like that for foster programs. So there were foster on deck webinars that were taking place. The ASPCA Pro was updating their webinars and websites and programs and things like that. Pretty much all of the major organizations were supporting with lots of different content, different toolkits, different webinars, different things that would help you to manage your foster program. It was also a great opportunity for these to bring new ideas to the market, right? Many of our conferences and that were canceled or had to go virtual. So a lot of the ideas that maybe were talked about at those weren't necessarily front and center. So now through these different tools and things like that, we got a lot more information out to both the rescues and the shelters and even the general public. So lots of information, lots of content that's still out there, accessible, available. So don't forget about these, American Pets Alive, ASPCA Pro, Best Friends, Maddie's. I know there's many, many others, but there's lots of great and recent content and ideas, and they just continue to be populated with more ideas and information about new programs and things that are working as we continue to pivot. There's lots of different things that are going on, and we want to continue to pivot and be supportive of the foster programs and growing them and making them kind of the de facto standard that the industry is using. Now, the shift, though, to a foster-centric model has not been easy, right? It's been going on now for the better part of a year. And a lot of this is technology related because shelter management software, for example, for those organizations that are lucky enough to be able to afford shelter management software, the shelter management software is very limited in its focus. I mean, the way I usually describe it is shelter management software assumes that all the animals are in one physical location. And it's kind of built under that model that you're going to need to see all the animals at a glance, and that it's easy to communicate with staff, it's easy to get updates on information. But what do you do now instead of 100 animals being in one location when you have 100 animals in 100 locations? And how are you communicating, and how are you managing inventory and scheduling events and all these different things, which within a shelter, when everything was in one place, was, I don't want to say easy because nothing is ever easy, but the software made it so you could quickly do transactions. It became a lot more difficult when we moved to a foster-centric model when all the animals were not physically in the same facility. I know many of the rescue groups out there are like, yep, we've been dealing with this for years, and figuring it out through either using Google spreadsheets or things like that. There was also that big push, as we talked about, for getting more fosters. So managing the onslaught of new foster applications was hard, right? Because there was such a push and a general push. And one of the things that I think all of you realize is that people will step up and they will respond, but they're also going to have questions. And so when there's a lot of pushes out there that say, we need fosters, we need fosters, we need fosters, that's great. People put in an application, but then they have 100 questions. Wait, what animal? How big is it? How long? Are they good with dogs? Are they good with cats? Are they good with kids? They've got all these different questions, but the push and the advertisement that was taking place wasn't really facilitating or helping to govern all those different things. Certainly the onboarding, training, and supporting these foster parents became a priority. And for those organizations that didn't have a foster program, right, they were very quickly trying to get one going. And for those that did, they were very quickly trying to scale it and to involve other members of their staff or volunteers to manage the number of people that were coming in, pair up the animals with the people, get them trained, get them on a system, whether it be kittens or cats or dogs, whatever the system is, to be able to support these people and give them, what was needed. Now, as you know, at the same time, these same shelter organizations were having to switch their model to be by appointment only, very similar to what was going on with the vet offices. They didn't want people coming in on a regular basis. So there was lots of change going on all at the same time. So the rebuilding of the processes to adopt animals from fosters was one of those things that kind of came out of the woodwork, I guess I would say, because generally prior to this, what would happen was with a foster-centric organization or any animals in foster, they would bring them back to the shelter, have the person come into the shelter, and they would follow their normal process. But in an effort to try and keep the people out of the shelters and to prevent the spread of the virus, there were some new processes that had to kind of come into play to actually adopt the animals out of foster. All right, so I want to keep you guys engaged here this morning, and one of the things I want to learn is, what is your biggest challenge in your foster program? So our first poll question here, what is the biggest challenge you have in your foster program? Is it recruiting new fosters? Because obviously you always need more. Is it communicating with them? Is it handling the requests and questions and all those things from the foster parents? Or is it marketing the foster animals to get them adopted?
All right, I'm going to launch that poll. You all can vote.
It's always like waiting for the results,
Yeah.
right?
This is where we do our Jeopardy music, right?
Yeah, I know. You can probably see them actively clicking, right,
I
Stacey?
do. I do. I
Okay.
get kind of distracted, so because I get into it. Yeah. All right. All right. I am going to close the poll and share the results. Biggest challenge, recruiting new fosters. We always need more, 48%. Communicating with fosters is 19%. Handling foster parents' requests, questions, etc., 19%. Marketing the foster animals to get them adopted, 14%.
Okay. So really good. That's very consistent with, I think, what I've seen is the a little bit across the board, there's lots of different challenges. Certainly having a constant base of fosters is always something that's vital, right, to a foster program, because there is foster burnout and things like that. So we'll talk about some of the tools here that you can use for doing that. Okay. All right, since we got everybody awake. All right, so the first one is problem, right? Recruiting new fosters. We always need more. Now, I didn't want to default to the normal ways such as Facebook and things like that. I wanted to try and highlight some that maybe not everybody has heard of. So this Stay Home and Foster one was actually one that was done by the Greater Good. I want to say it was around April or May. I might be a little bit off in terms of my timing. And with their campaign, they managed to recruit 80,000 fosters across the United States, right? Sign up, recruit. And so if you go to Stay Home and Foster and you register as a rescue or a shelter organization, you can actually get access to all of those people that raised their hand and said, hey, we could be a foster. And they'll give you all the information so that you can reach out and essentially make contact with those people and get them into your process. So they did a really fantastic job of trying to help recruit some new fosters, and they'll make it available. All you got to do is go out there and register for access to all that stuff. Now, the other one, I didn't take a snapshot, I was running out of space here, but volunteermatch.org. I don't know if everybody's heard of volunteermatch.org. But this is a nonprofit that you can post volunteer requests for pretty much anything out there. Think of it almost like a job posting board where you're posting a request for a volunteer. And so again, you got to go out there, register, get approved, etc. But then you can post a request for fosters, right? Now, the good news is you can post a request for anything. The bad news is, anybody can post a request for anything. So there's definitely lots of things that fosters have to sift through. And it's not necessarily easy to post one for every single animal. So it's a little bit more of a generic post, but it's a great resource. They've been around for many, many years. They rank for a lot of the search terms that people look for when they're searching on Google, such as volunteering and things like that. It's free to use. You can go out there and get an account, and you can start posting and recruit some new volunteers that way as well. And then the other one, which kind of spun up as COVID was hitting, was 911 foster pets. So pretty simple website, again, pretty easy to use. You can sign up. They've managed to recruit some fosters, and then they've added more functionality so that you can bring your animals in, right? And they'll list them on the site, try and help do that matching as well. So not just recruiting fosters, but also trying to help you with finding somebody to be the foster, maybe even the permanent adopter for those animals. So their focus as well on trying to help recruit and grow that foster base. Now, a couple of things I do want to mention when you think about recruiting new fosters, how do you stand out with your marketing? What's going to grab somebody's attention? What I've seen is a lot of organizations do the generic, hey, we need fosters. But it's not really, when you study any of the analytics and the marketing and things like that, that's not going to really make people feel compelled. What they want to see is they want to see the picture of the animal that needs foster. They want to hear the story. They want to feel like they're actively signing up to volunteer for that animal. So really put some thought as you use these to think about how can you make your calls to action compelling? How can you switch them up on a regular basis, right? Even if it's every 2 weeks, just have some different images. Go use a tool like canva.com, which allows you to do design and things like that. Really use pictures and very simple wording to try and grab people's attention, so that as you're either posting on one of these sites or maybe you're posting to your social media, right? Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, etc. It's something that when people are scrolling through, it grabs their attention. It's going to make them stop and actually want to click on it. So a couple of different tools that you can do for recruiting those fosters, getting them to come to you, and then getting them through your process to get them on board. Okay, so one of the next things to really think about is, how do you know that your foster program is effective? So you've recruited all these people, but one of the reasons that people have to continually recruit people is they often struggle to retain them. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why, but if you got to keep the funnel full with all these new people coming in, that's a lot of extra work to be able to keep those coming in and keep the marketing going up there. So I want to do a quick poll here to say, do you even know if your foster program is effective? So first answer is, yep, of course we do, because we survey our fosters regularly, so at least once a year. Second is we track the data and statistics to see the impact. Third one is we compare our programs to others in the area. And the last one is we don't really know, but we think it's effective. So Stacey, if you want to throw up that poll, let's kind of see where the audience comes in at on this one.
Excellent. All right.
This is one of those where it's like, be honest with yourself, right? This is all anonymous, but I'm curious as to where everybody's at with regards to their foster program, because there's definitely a lot of data behind foster programs and the number of people and the time that they foster for you and why they leave and why they join, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we've got some people out there that are actively tracking the data.
All right. I think this is a tough question for a lot of the voting is kind of slow and sluggish because I think they're thinking. I'm going to close the poll. And, oh, geez, I didn't mean to do that. Share the results. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Okay. So it looks
So it
like,
says 17%. We survey our fosters regularly. 17% also. We track the data and statistics to see the impact. 2% we compare our program to others in our area, and 64% we really don't know, but we think it is.
all right, good. Thank you everybody for doing that. So again, not really surprising because a lot of times people don't track the data, they don't survey their fosters, they're not comparing their programs. One, because they don't necessarily always have time, and two, they're not always aware of what the tools are. And as you probably know, I mean, it's really hard to know if your program's effective if you're not measuring it, right? So the old adage goes, what gets measured gets, done, right? Gets reported on. So the next thing technology-wise that I wanted to talk about here was a tool by Maddie's that a lot of people haven't necessarily heard of, but it's called the Foster Assessment System, or the FAST 15. And so if you're trying to determine if your foster program is effective, I would highly recommend that you go out here to the Maddie's website and check out the FAST 15. It's another one of those free tools. Maddie's they may be redoing, I know they're redoing a lot of their URLs and stuff, so if this isn't exactly it, just type FAST 15 in their search bar when you get out there. And the way it kind of works with the FAST 15 is there's a simple qualifying application. I think it's about 5 questions or so, something very simple. And then you'll actually create an account, right? So for your organization. Now, once you get approved and you create your account, then what you can do is you can actually generate a foster assessment survey for your organization. And so we're going to talk about, what does that do? But it's a free automated survey tool. You can kind of see the words down here. And then there's lots of resources and support and things like that that are there to support you as well. So imagine now you've created your survey, right? It gives you a unique link that you can then email out to your fosters, and all of the data will be compiled for you, right? So one of those things that's hard is, being able to get all this data. Well, through a simple survey that people can take on their phone, on their desktop, on their iPad, whatever it is, it's going to ask them different questions. And then the nice thing about the FAST 15 tool is it's going to compile the results into a really good looking report like this for you. So you don't have to do anything. Literally, you generate a survey link, you send it out, and sit back and watch the results come in. And there's a whole bunch of different questions that are going to help you to understand the level of activity of fostering. Are they currently active? Are they taking a break? How often have they had fostering? How long? All that data that you think you may know that is making you effective, you're actually going to have hard data here. And it's going to give you different percentages and things like that. I'm not going to go through every single report that it does, but I did want to show you just some of these things because I think they're really helpful, just at a glance that you can see how your foster program's doing. It's also going to give you kind of an engagement score. You can see all of these different things broken down, right? So pride, enthusiasm, attachment, enjoying work. It's going to give you a cumulative average, right? How engaged are these people? Do they feel appreciated? Do they know what their role is? Do they have the training that they need? So it's going to help you, even with these color codes, to kind of hone in and zoom in on those areas that, while you might think it's effective, in surveying your fosters, right, they're saying, actually, we don't feel it's effective. So there might be a little bit of a mismatch between what you think and what they think. Again, all this data will be calculated automatically for you. So you can see they score everything on a 1 to 5. You can see what the average score is, and of course, all the percentages for every single one of the questions. All right, so the foster assessment system is definitely something I would tell you to go check out because, whether you have 20 fosters or 200, I think you're going to get a lot of great data. The final piece, of course, is that, like any good surveying tool, they give the people the ability to add comments, and sometimes the best information is actually within the comments. When you start reading through some of these things, do they, feel appreciated? This person feels unappreciated and unsupported. Communication with the status is lacking, right? They think it could be more efficient. So again, while you might think that your communications are great, they're clear, your trainings and all that are up to snuff, your fosters may not feel that way. And sometimes just with a simple tweak in terms of the way that you're doing it, you can get them more engaged and to be, feel like they're really a part of the team. Remember that our fosters are volunteers, right? And when you look at all of the things that volunteers want, is they want to feel engaged, they want to feel needed, they want to feel appreciated. And this tool, the Fast 15 tool, will help you to understand whether or not they're feeling that way, and then hopefully you can work on fixing it. There's lots of data that comes along with it, lots of recommendations, all sorts of things that go into this. All right, I know it's been around for a couple of years, but I did want to highlight another great tool for engaging fosters and working with them, and it's Maddie's Pet Assistant. The Maddie's Pet Assistant can be done, it's another one of those things you can sign up for. If you go to maddiesfund.org/MPA, it helps you to do things with surveys in a different kind of way, right? So one of the things that they do is the caregivers answer health and behavior surveys about their pets. It's really good, by the way, for kittens, right? So if you've got a neonatal kitten foster program, I'll show you in a second, they've got these regularly scheduled surveys that go out via the mobile app, and people can answer them. And then it helps to, using, system AI, right? Automatic intelligence or machine learning, it'll help to highlight those areas that might be of concern based upon how somebody answered the questions, so that you can actually contact that foster and say, hey, it looks like you might have some, health issues with this animal. So it's trying to help cut down on people calling you all the time. And it's also trying to help engage people so that they feel like they're actively involved. They're not only giving care, but they're also giving you data back to your organization. So at the core of this, what it does is it sends out surveys, and these are kind of like pre-set up cadences. So you can see a survey will go out on day 1, day 3, 7, 14, and 30 for a foster cat or dog over 8 weeks, but for a foster kitten under 8 weeks, it goes out 1, 3, 7, 14, 21, right? And this is all done with the information that Maddie's has. They've got a lot of really good experts. So they've put all of that into building this out. So these surveys are all kind of pre-scheduled, the wording and all that's done. Again, it makes it easy. You've got a dashboard you can log in, see all the surveys, all the comments, and really kind of see at a glance when you're trying to run a foster program, are people weighing the kittens? Is there any diarrhea or other things like that that are concerning? I did want to make sure to point out Maddie's Pet Assistant is now managed by Pet Health, right? So they're the same people that run Pet Point. It's still 100% available, 100% free. You can still use it if you do use a shelter management software to import animals into it. You can still continue to use that. You can receive support, get the website right here. And if you need help, you can reach out to your pet health team. They're happy to help you get going on this. So definitely a tool for you to look into, because I think this is a technology that really a lot of people aren't aware of, and it really does a lot. People love to be able to use a mobile app to be able to stay engaged and answer questions and things like that. Okay, so my third, I promise, and final poll question for you. So as you think about this, and as you think about, okay, now we're going to try and go from 10 to 100, right, or 100 to 1,000, how confident are you in scaling your foster program? Do your processes, do your systems, do your tools, do they support you being able to do that? Or is it going to take you hiring 10 more people to be able to do that? So how confident are you? Are you very confident? We could easily scale to 10 or 1,000. You're somewhat confident we could probably get to 100, but it would probably be a brute force effort. Or are you not really confident because your processes really are not set up to scale?
Survey says very confident. 22% are very confident that they could scale up. Somewhat confident is 27%. Not really confident, our processes don't scale at 51%.
Okay, interesting. So about a quarter of people are confident, quarter that are somewhat, and about half of you that say not a chance, right? We couldn't get from 10 to 1,000 fosters just in the way that we're doing it. So that's not surprising. I would say it's nothing to be, ashamed of or upset about. because it is something that, as Stacy mentioned, there is kind of that limit, that human limit when you're doing it the old-fashioned way, when you're doing it with one person and with the tools and things that you have. Um, so scalable foster programs are certainly possible, right? And there's a couple of things, just like you might expect. Some of this is probably like, yeah, of course, Chris, we know that. But what makes a program scalable? So having that organized recruitment and onboarding process, that is absolutely key. When there are organizations such as Greater Good that are putting out the call and bringing in 80,000 fosters, and you're tapping into them, and in your city maybe there's 200 or 300 or even more that you can get, how are you going to recruit them, determine if they're a match for you, get them on board, answer all their questions, get them trained up like you want them to? Probably the biggest challenge is really number two, is consistent ongoing communications. In order to keep your fosters engaged on a regular basis, you need to have that consistent ongoing communication. People don't want to feel like you dropped the animal off and took off, right? They want to have that regular touch point. They want that care and attention, that love, right? That somebody's there to support them. Number three, having a support structure for the foster parents. So who do they call when they have a question? Who do they call when they need some help? Who do they call when not anybody's really traveling right now, but if they had to go out of town for the weekend, or if they got sick and they needed somebody else? What is that support structure? Is it easy for them to navigate? It's, when you've got 10 people, you can kind of bounce the emails around, but when you have 1,000 people, you've got to make sure you've got a process to keep track of things. The marketing and social media, this is an area I find is very limiting as people try to scale, because they count on the fosters to text them back pictures or updates and things like that, which again is not too hard if you have 10, but when you get to 1,000 people, it's just not possible to keep track of all those different things. And of course, if only there is some integrated technology to manage all this, certainly would make this a lot more possible. So obviously, one of the things that we mentioned at the beginning is that I like to try and solve the big problems. And so when COVID hit last March, we doubled down and really worked hard to try and build out the tools that you need and launch this at the end of May. So Doobert now has a tool that we call Foster Space. And so I'm going to kind of show you some of the different elements and things that we've got. And also, again, look for your ideas on how we can build this out. One thing I do want to point out, I'm sure that most of you are avid Community Cat podcast listeners, and so you probably already know this. Most people know Doobert for transportation, but there's lots of other things that Doobert does. I'm not going to go into all of this, but we're going to talk today about the fostering component and how it can help you to scale your foster program. Okay, so kind of what is Foster Space, right? I've taken the screenshots out of the system. Hopefully you can see them. Don't focus too much on being, worried about each one of the buttons. But one of the first things we wanted to do with Foster Space was to approach this from a new angle and redesign the way that we engage things. And when we really dove into it, we started thinking about first time we were doing this, everything was going to be all email based. And when you look at the open rates on emails, and we all get way too many emails, we decided that was not going to work. And so we went down the path and we actually said we need to make this work with two-way text messaging, not just sending out to people one way, but literally being able to use a tool to send and receive text messages with volunteers, so that there's that engagement, just like you might do with your iPhone or your Android. We wanted that to be at a part of this, so that no longer does an organization have to pass around a phone, or people use their own cell phones. We actually assign every organization their own phone number. It's not used for any other purpose. It's not tied to anybody's phone. It's an organization specific phone number that allows you then to send and receive text messages. So it's the only thing out there that allows you to do that. Only thing in the animal welfare space that allows you to send and receive text messages. Some of the shelter systems have some texting, but it's one way. It's from the shelter system out to the person, but the person can't respond and interact with the software that way. So it was one of those things that we felt was really vital to helping you to scale your foster program was clear communication. So foster space is kind of broken up into 4 quadrants. We're going to walk through each one. One is a recruiting quadrant. The other one is a current fosters quadrant where you can see the people tied to the animals. You can text right away from there. The messages quadrant, just like you might expect, is where you would send and receive text messages individually if you want to. We have a ticket quadrant. So this works kind of like a help desk ticket system. So the fosters, your fosters, can open up tickets to you for medical supplies and other needs. And then we've got a couple other more global functions that we'll talk through and how those work. So starting with the recruit fosters, one of the things that we felt was really important was to try to help you optimize the recruiting funnel. So instead of just saying post something on Facebook and see what comes in, we took a different approach. And what we do is we allow you can import your animals from any of the shelter management software into Doobert. And then you can either just click and drop down the animal, choose the animal, or you can of course manually add. And we're going to pull in the information, the name, the type, breed, weight, are they good with dogs, cats, kids? We're going to pull that information in so that it's all already right there. And what we're doing, and one of the really cool things is we're actually going to now allow you to connect your Facebook groups or pages, and we're going to create a Facebook post with the information, right? So with the information here that somebody can click on, it's going to bring them in to actually apply for that animal. And the idea behind this is if we can help you filter through all those requests from people that, you might be a cat only foster, but they're looking for a dog. Well, they see your post and said, we need a foster, but they're not interested in fostering cats. Well, how do we filter those out? What we're doing is we're making it very specific to the animal. So we actually have a picture of the animal and we have, all the relevant information. And when they click on that request, they'll fill out an application to be a foster for that animal, but it comes to you as the organization. We allow you to, people often ask, what about, how do we know they're qualified? What's your application process? They create a profile within Doobert, so we've got all the general stuff, but then you can also ask additional questions if you want that are very specific for that animal. So just a couple of quick highlights. You can import animals. It'll automatically post to your social media. So when you're creating this request, and of course you can ask specific questions that the foster will answer, and you'll be able to actually see their responses and choose the best foster for that animal. So now once you have those people coming in, applying, you've accepted their application, you've placed the animal with them, rather than trying to manage things on a Google sheet and keep things updated, the foster space system in Doobert is custom built to do this specifically. So you can see at a glance your foster names, you can see which ones have animals, you can see if you've invited them to be a foster within your organization, have they accepted it, whether or not they have an animal. You can sort by this, you could find all the fosters that don't have animals, lots of different functionality. We're trying to make it easy so that, imagine if you had 1,000 fosters, right? And you're trying to find that one foster either by the name or the name of the animal, really easy for you to be able to do that. I do also want to point out tags. So if you're familiar with tags, these are kind of free-form things that allow you to tag a record. So you can tag either animals or fosters or both with any type of tagging that you want, right? So if you wanted to tag all of your neonatal fosters, it's an easy way for you to filter and find those people. So just in recapping this one, you can quickly see fosters that don't have animals. You can see if they've selected or accepted your request to be a foster for you. You can individually text them from here, by the way, if you want. You can either use the quadrant that I showed you before, or you can literally, find that person, click here and send them a quick text message. It'll go right to them. And of course, as I mentioned, the tags. Not a lot to really talk about on this one, but it works very similar to probably other messaging systems. But this is all, again, text message. People ask me, does it send right away? Yes, it sends as fast as a text message would send. We've even built in that just like you can on your iPhone, you can actually see if somebody is, opened the message, was it delivered? Depending on the phone that they have, sometimes it doesn't indicate back, but if it does, you'll be able to see that information in here. I do want to point out, because the phone number belongs to you, your organization, nobody else can use that phone number, you can actually use it for other things. And we have other, functionality we plan to add, but you can receive text from people who aren't even fosters yet. So if you were using that phone number and you said, if you're interested in being a foster, text foster to whatever your number is, it'll still pop up here in this quadrant. Even though they may not have a Doobert account, they're not linked to your organization, anything like that. So it is your phone number. The final quadrant within foster space is our ticket quadrant. As I mentioned, the idea here is that any foster now that has one of your animals can open up a ticket that comes back to you as the organization. And we've categorized the tickets with 3 types: medical, supplies, and other. And the system will automatically prioritize them, sort them. So the medical ones will show up first, then supplies, then other. And it's just a way so that if it's not an urgent request, somebody doesn't need to call you right away, somebody doesn't need to text you right away. It's just a great way for them to say, oh, by the way, I need more, heartworm pills, or I need a new collar, whatever it is. It doesn't get lost. They know that you're going to see it, but it also doesn't have to be an urgent phone call that you got to have somebody on standby, 24/7. So that's kind of what the ticket quadrant does. Is on the volunteer side, they can open up a ticket for you, and again, it allows you to kind of communicate back and forth. So you can quickly see the number of tickets. It'll show you. You can sort it, of course, by other things. And if you need to, you can, of course, add your own ticket. Somebody calls you and you're talking to them, you can add a ticket for them. All right, so now onto the real fun stuff. Our 2 functions, if you remember, they were on the left-hand side over here, are global functions, right? So now imagine you've scaled your foster program. You've got hundreds of fosters. Well, you're probably thinking, well, Chris, it's not really efficient if I have to still text them all individually. So we built a global announce function, if you will. And the idea behind this is to make it really, really easy for you to communicate to all of them by whatever criteria you select. So you can just click the all fosters button and literally send a message. We always encourage you to do an email message and a text version of the same message because not everybody has a text phone, if you will, and the Doobert system keeps track of have they verified their phone number as a mobile number or not. You can, select dogs, cats, kittens, whatever. Remember, we talked about tags. So for example, if you had tagged all of your neonatal fosters as neonate fosters, you can put that tag and the system will automatically determine your fosters that are neonates with that tag, and it'll send the message only to them. And of course, you can always type to send either just to one animal or one foster if you want. Obviously, the email and the text message variation. And then one of the things I thought was really cool is you can schedule it to send for later, and you can even make it recurring. So imagine setting it up so that, say, on a once a month basis, all of your dog fosters get a text that says, hey, don't forget, heartworm pills, right? Or on a weekly basis, all of your neonatal kitten fosters get a, hey, don't forget to send us your weight. They will get a text message right at that designated time. All of the ones that qualify, so if they were all neonates, when they reply, if they reply to your text message, it'll come right back to that messages quadrant, so you'll be able to see, and you'll be able to see, what you sent to them and obviously what they texted back. You can make it recurring like that so that you don't have to think about it, right? So that every week, the system will automatically just send that text message until you tell it to stop effectively. You can schedule it for later, so imagine using this for events or, adoption days, or like I said, even just to take medications or, send the weights and things like that. And if you use this in conjunction with something like a Maddie's Pet Assistant, there's a lot of really cool things that you can probably dream up. So you can send announcements that use your tags, right? You can schedule it for the future, make it recurring. And then as you can see, we're having you create an email and a text message just so that we have the ability to send both, just in case that person doesn't have a verified mobile number. And then the other global function that we have is our foster space invite. This is kind of like our version 1. So what this does is it works kind of like a meeting invite, where just like before, you can, invite people to an event. So it might be an adoption event, or it might be a spay and neuter day, or check the chip day, whatever it might be. And the system is going to then keep track of how many people accepted, declined, didn't respond, things like that. Just like before, you can send it to the same people using your tags. You can put details about the event, location, starting, ending time, etc. And if they accept it, it's actually going to pop that event onto the calendar for the animal, so that they can see, hey, look, we have this upcoming event for this animal, and you as the organization can see that as well. We do have a plan to try and do the flip side of this, which is allow you to put out slots and allow people to book those. We don't have that yet, but we've heard from a lot of people that that's something that would be really helpful, so that they don't have to use an acuity scheduler or other scheduler. So if you had different vet appointments and you want to make those available, that people can book it themselves. So don't have that yet, but it's something that we're looking at building out to augment this. This works just kind of like a meeting invite functionality right now. All right, and Doobert will keep track of who accepts, rejects, and just doesn't apply. The final thing I do want to point out is that because Doobert manages volunteers and has the organization side, the volunteers actually have a portal. So they can log into Doobert just like you do. They see something different. So they can manage their foster profile. They can take a foster quiz, just kind of a fun way to engage them. If they don't have a foster, they can certainly search for one that is nearby that they want to foster. And once that animal is connected with them, right, you can see that they've got, it's connected to them on their Doobert dashboard. They can open up a ticket to you. They can do notes to you. They can send a text message to you. There's, lots of different things that they can do. But we're trying to foster that connection to your organization, so that they know that that's who they're, who they're working for. All right. And then the final piece is one of those things that I'm really excited about, is our ambassador pages. So one of the cool things that we just recently came out with here in the last couple of months is what we call our ambassador pages. And the idea behind an ambassador page is to give it a way for the foster volunteers to not just, open up tickets and check in with you, but to actively help in the recruitment for that forever home for that animal. So the idea behind ambassador pages is that it's a unique page that gets created for the foster animal, and the fosters can actually come out here just like an Instagram or Facebook, and they can add regular photos and videos. This is something that was really important to me, is that they could actually add videos right from their phone, showing the personality of the animal. As you all know, this is particularly important when it comes to cats, because looking at a picture of a cat, for a lot of people, a cat is a cat, right? But when you really can see them being their true selves and with their personality through a short video, a couple-minute video, it's really going to give a better way for somebody to say, is that the cat for me? The foster can, obviously post these things. They can manage the likes, dislikes, fun facts. You as the organization has full control. It's still your animal, still your page. You can manage all of this. The foster cannot manage, any of this stuff. It comes from the animal's profile, right, which only you manage. But the idea is that then when they share this to, Facebook, or eventually we're going to add the other social medias, and somebody sees that post, they're taken back out to here. They can scroll down through days, weeks of, posting and pictures and things like that to get a real feel for that animal. Is that going to be a good fit for their family? And if they're interested, then they click the I'm interested button to now apply to become the, to be the adopted parent for that animal. So the idea behind this is that we're giving your fosters a tool to support you, right? To give you that content, updates, all those other things. And we're really excited that we've gotten a lot of really great feedback. This is a great way to get your fosters to feel like they're doing more to help promote the videos and photos, and it's giving you, the organization, the ability to still continue to manage this. All right, so videos, likes, dislikes, and of course they can easily and quickly share that to their social media. All right, so that is kind of it in terms of technology. If you're interested in signing up for Foster Space on Doobert, you can sign up, get started, right? Big sign up button on the homepage, and then it'll ask if you want to be just you or your organization. So we have one kind of sign up process that works both for volunteers and for organizations, but you can go check that out. If you've got ideas, suggestions, complaints, you can email me, Chris, C-H-R-I-S at Doobert. Always happy to help and take new ideas. So with that, I think that is the end of my presentation, Stacy.
So of course the question of the day is, does Doobert cost anything?
That is always a question of the day, isn't it? So what I've done with Doobert is we have 3 tiers. We have our forever free, and that is 100% free. So you can use that for up to 10 people animal connections, 100% free. You'll get a phone number. There's no restriction that you can't send texts or anything like that. I'm just covering the cost of that because we're trying to support as many organizations as possible. And then from 11 to I think it's 75, it's either 75 or 100 fosters, we have Doobert Elite, which is $39 a month for shelters, but $19 a month if you're a rescue organization. Again, we're trying to keep the cost down as much as we can. And then over 100, you get into Doobert Pro, which is $79 a month. But we've actually had some organizations inquire about using it for $1,200 and more. So you can use it for any number of people in your foster program. But start out with the free version. That's what I tell people, just go try it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Create your organization. It'll assign, you can create a, when you go to Foster Space, you can assign a phone number and add a couple of fosters. You can use it up to 10 active at any time without charge.
Excellent. There are some questions. Could we utilize this Foster Space texting feature or maybe some of the other components for TNR folks to communicate?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good thing, and I would love to learn from whoever's asking that question. The phone number is yours, right? It's attached to your organization. It can't be used by anybody else. All of the text will come into your dashboard on Foster Space, but even if you're not using it for fosters and you're using it for TNR, go for it. It'll work the same way. You'll just have to look past the fact that it says current fosters and think about it as that they might be your trappers or your transporters and stuff like that. And I'd love to learn what we can do to build that out to make it even more effective for TNR.
Can multiple people have access to this at the same time? You say it's connected to one phone number, and I mean, a lot of times, or at least the organizations I know of, like we've had like one dedicated like foster cell phone that like gets passed around from person to person, and then they're responsible 24/7 for anything that comes in. Would it be possible with this for multiple people to either have access at the same time, or else even to be like, to say, Susie's on from this shift or this shift?
Yeah, so 100% yes. So when you sign up your organization, you're the owner of your Doobert organization, but then you can add other authorized users and you'll all be in the same dashboard seeing the same thing. So you could literally, Stacy, both be on your Doobert dashboard at the same time, both sending text messages at the same time. And you'll see all the responses. And so you can kind of determine how you want to manage that. But yeah, it's all connected in the same place.
How do you deal with tech challenged foster homes, as well as maybe those that, I mean, there are those that also just do everything on their phone. And I understand there's a lot of features here that work for the phone, but is that enough for a foster home just to have a phone? And then also those tech challenged foster homes, which may be, I'm not going to say older folks, but might be older folks.
Sure. Yeah, that is a tricky one, right? So what we tried to do is to say we know, and the stats all show that most websites, it's 60 to sometimes 80% of people that visit your website are doing it on their phone. It's just, what they're doing nowadays. But I absolutely agree and understand that there's some people that are like, I don't want to do texting. So that's why what we tried to do is build that email component, as a backup into it. So texting is obviously going to be easier. You can use Doobert on any device, right? So they can use it on a phone, a tablet, a computer. They can log in, and we tried to keep all the features so that they could, use it from anywhere. But as you know, I mean, it's almost everything nowadays is moving towards a phone and texting and stuff like that. So hopefully you're able to encourage your less tech savvy people to at least give it a shot. But yeah, it's one of those challenges that it's hard to fix.
All right. Can tickets be assigned to specific staff or volunteers to respond and manage?
Yeah, not yet. That's a great question. It's something that's on our list to do, because we knew that that would be something that would be needed, particularly for a larger organization if they want to assign it to, say, the medical staff or something like that. So it's definitely something that we're working on, is to be able to assign a ticket to a person within your org.
How many organizations are currently using Foster Space?
Oh, I should have checked before I joined today. So we've probably there's probably a couple of dozen that are playing with it in various forms, I guess, right now. We've been doing a lot of demos and stuff with people. It's hard because if they're using the forever free plan, I don't really get a notification, right? Unless I go look, because we really, like I said, tried to make it as accessible as we could.
Fosters often like to get follow-up information about the pet after it's been adopted out. Is there a way for adopters to provide info or photos of the pets that they adopt to share?
Yeah, great question. I'd love to, again, talk to whoever is asking that question, because our thought or idea was to say, could we take those ambassador pages and then assign it to the adopter? We haven't done that yet, just in full transparency, but it's something we've been talking about, is trying to say, how do we continue that, right? So that that adopter now stays connected to the organization, shares regular updates, so that the fosters and even the staff and volunteers can easily see what's going on with the animal. So I'd love to get feedback, ideas, suggestions on that one. That was our current thinking as to what we were gonna do.
When did Foster Space launch?
So officially, Foster Space launched last year at the end of May. Um, Almost 6 years to the day since Doobert launched. So it was pretty exciting.
Excellent, excellent. Chris, everybody's just really, really excited about this. The comments are just, the word genius has been used in the comments here, Chris. So,
Thank you.
so you should feel really proud for what you've created here, and you continue to add on and build and grow Doobert. It's this octopus of support and technology and innovation, and I can see it continuing to grow even more. So thank you for everything that you have done, and this was a great presentation. I appreciate you spending time with us today.